Hi guys, welcome to a video, and in today's video I'm just going to be reviewing the book, If Not Winter, Fragments of Sappho by Carson. Oh yes, poetry from the OG Sapphic daddy herself. It's not Jennifer Beals, it's Sappho. Famed for her Sapphic tendencies. Oh yes. The 10th muse, whose muse was often other women. So in this book, Carson explains that Sappho's poetry is actually lyrics that are composed to be sung to a lyre. And what's interesting yet frustrating about Sappho's work is just one of the poems out of 9 books of lyrics she allegedly composed survived complete. The rest are just fragments. And this is largely because they were recorded on papyrus rolls, which are not known for withstanding the test of time. Let's just put it that way. So as a result, this book is of course largely fragments of her work. But despite that, it's still an incredible read. I feel like this book is a must-have for anybody who is A, interested in Sapphic history, or B, a fan of Xena warrior princess. But we'll get to that in a bit. We will. I feel like this is my second time reviewing a poetry book on this channel, and reviewing poetry is not difficult, but it's always entirely a subjective experience. There's a technical element to writing a novel which doesn't apply to poetry, is what I'm trying to say. Okay. So, my own personal feelings about this book. I fell in love with it. I did. There is a touch of magic in this book, and of course it is a product of ancient Greece. So there is that element of the mythical, and perhaps I shouldn't say magical, but it was a time of cool shit. You know, it was a time of cool shit. Again, another academic term. There's just something about this book, and I felt that something. I did. The biggest thing that struck me about Sappho's poetry is it's ancient. It's ancient, and yet what she's writing about is still relatable today. It's still relevant today. I mean, a lot of this poetry could have been written just yesterday. That says to me we have really not changed all that much at our core, despite how many years have passed. I found that incredibly interesting. For example, there's this poem on page 51 where she says, "Frequently, for those I treat well are the ones who most of all harm me. Crazy. You, I want to suffer. In myself, I am aware of this." I felt like these lyrics were kind of saying, when you treat somebody well, they take that for granted, and you begin to feel resentful of that, you know? That's relatable. That's really relatable. And then on page 263, this sounds like several of the poems I have wrote myself, but she says, "But me you have forgotten, or you love some man more than me." Yeah, I just found her poetry so thought-provoking, so descriptive, and so vivid. I mean, the pictures she paints through just a couple of words, these fragments which have survived, is incredible. And it highlights the power of literature, it highlights the power of words. And I have to say, I was surprised at just how much I was touched by her poetry. So the reason why I said that this book is like a must-have for Xena fans is on page 63, there is a poem which clearly inspired the poem in the Xena episode, Many Happy Returns, where Xena gets Sappho to write Gabrielle a poem, and it's pretty much this poem. I mean, it goes like this. "He seems to me equal to gods that man, whoever he is who opposite you sits and listens close to your sweet speaking and lovely laughing. Oh, it puts the heart in my chest on wings. For when I look at you, even a moment, no speaking is left in me. No, fire breaks, and thin fire is racing under skin, and in eyes no sight, and drumming fills ears. And cold sweat holds me and shaking, grips me all, greener than grass. I am, and dead, or almost, I seem to me." Yeah, so some of this poetry does feature in that Xena episode, which I appreciated. Other than that, there's a lot of bisexual yearning, there's thoughts on virginity, on Aphrodite, oh, and on the fact that a famous prostitute got a fair few coins out of her brother. Darling, she has the range, she does. Some of this book does read like a shitpost on Tumblr at 3 a.m, it does. For example, on page 225, it says, "The doorkeeper's feet are 7 arm lengths long, 5 ox hides for his sandals, 10 shoemakers worked on them." Also, as I say, a lot of this book is fragments of her work, so some of the pages in this book contain one word. They do, there's a few of those pages. But honey, that's just the way it is, you know, when you're rescuing ancient works, it comes in fragments, it does. Overall, I adore this book, I really do, and usually I'm quite funny about poetry, and by funny I mean I'm very particular, and I just have a very tight filter when it comes to poetry. Like, I don't like a lot of poetry, but the poetry that I like, I'm absolutely obsessed with. It all depends on connection, and I absolutely connected with this book. It touched me, it did. With consent. But really, I feel like if you have any interest in ancient Greece, in lesbian history, in women's history, in poetry, in anthropology, or just in Xena Warrior Princess, this book will probably appeal to your interests. It will. Okay guys, if you've read this book, let me know what you thought of it down in the comments section below. If you're a friend of Sappho, a lesbian, or simply just a woman who likes to write poetry about other women, come and join the Sapphic Underground Club. Just come and join it. It's what Sappho would want you to do. You may lay your weary head down upon the breast of the Sapphic Underground Club. You may. Don't forget to subscribe for instant disappointment, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.